What's up, peeps? Archie here. I hope that the decorations aren't too much of a distraction, you know? I mean, I know I spruced the place up with these single strand of lights. You know, it's funny, these are technically Christmas lights, but because I have red and green to my theme, it works out. I can just use them whenever. I can use them for birthdays, I can use them for Christmas proper, and I can use them for, ta-da, today's 1-year anniversary Twitch stream. Yay! It feels like forever ago that I started streaming, but it's only been a year. It's weird how a year can simultaneously feel like the longest and the shortest amount of time, you know? Because, like, dang, what were you doing last year? What was I doing last year? I can't even remember. And yet, January feels like yesterday, and it was 3 months ago. It was 3 months ago. Almost 4 at this point. January. This year is already a third of the way over. Can you believe that? But anyway, existential dread aside, hope you're all doing well. We don't have too much planned. To start out, I thought it would be really good if we did a little bit of a snack party. So that's what we're starting out with. My snack is doubling as dinner. I had mentioned how I wasn't really too keen on doing the whole cake and ice cream thing. Seemed a little played out. So instead, I took to Twitter, asked some people what foods they would recommend. I got tiramisu as a suggestion. I was like, oh wow, fancy. But I went with little burger sliders. So that is what I'm going to be eating. Plain old White Castle hamburgers that I threw in the microwave literally 5 minutes ago. Actually, here's a question. Has anyone ever been to a White Castle? Because when I was younger, you know, there was a whole meme movie of Harold and Kumar go to White Castle. The funny thing was, I lived in a place that actually did have a White Castle, but it was always too far away, and we never passed by it at a time that, like, we would want to go to said White Castle. But when I was older, wait a minute, when was this? This was 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. So 2 years ago, I visited some family, and we ended up going to a place that also had a White Castle. And it was funny because it was their 100-year anniversary, like, celebration. Like, that was their big thing. It was promoted all over their windows and everything. So it's like, you know what? Before I leave, because I'm only here for a few days, before I leave, I am going to go to said White Castle. So on the last day, I walked over. It took a while. It was like a half-hour walk, but I finally got there. I had lunch there, and, you know, okay, so the only, like, White Castle burgers I had, the only White Castle experience I had before that was the, like, frozen stuff that you just reheat in the microwave and then just pop those in your mouth, right? So the burgers that you get in the actual restaurant proper, they're basically the same. The only difference I could tell is the quality of the bread. Like, the buns were fresher. I mean, I would hope so. The buns were fresher in the store, and not frozen. So, but otherwise, it's just like you plop a little dollop of ketchup on them. They're just tiny little burgers. And it's just, you do the same job that the people at the restaurant do. So it's like, okay, I guess. When it comes to certain food, like, there's definitely food that is amazing to experience. Like, it's an experience in and of itself, especially with, like, newer stuff that you try for the first time. It's like, oh man, you like, experience all the flavors and how they all, like, meld together and stuff like that. And then, on the opposite side of the spectrum, there is food that you purely eat for sustenance and nothing else. I feel like White Castle tends to lean to that side. I think next we are going to be doing Mad Libs. That is the, like, party... Like, here's the thing when it comes to a party, at least how I do them. You usually start out just, like, getting acquainted with everyone, getting everyone situated. You have some food, you have some beverages, and everything's all hunky-dory. Getting everyone all prepped up. Or maybe sometimes you start with a game, and then go on to food. Like, they could be interchangeable, but I like food, so I like to start with it. But next is the party games, and for me, the party game of my choice is the Mad Libs. I have a couple scripts that I have written, not exactly scripts, little stories, if you would, that I have written, but I have left certain blanks that need to be filled in with your suggestions. The first 3 things that I need. We need a group of people, a number, and a food item. I think in honor of Farmyard Crow, we're gonna put 330 as the number. Vtubers, you know, Vtubers, that is a group of people. Sure. Let's put it in. Burgers. Okay, burgers. Now I'm looking for an emotion or a type of liquid. Disgust. Okay. We'll go with disgust. Yeah. Smoothie. We'll do smoothie. Okay. We need an adverb. We also need a toy and a facial expression. And that will be it. Pop figure. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna put a Funko Pop, because that's immediately what my mind went to with pop figure. Winky face. Okay, we'll do a winky face. Confusion. We could put down confusedly. That would be the adverb form of that. We are, I think, let me do a quick check. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so let me scooch out of the way here. I'm gonna cover you for a second. Our first story is about, fittingly, prepping for the party. Here we go. Prepping for the party. First things first when it comes to prepping for a party. Invite some guests. Friends, family, and VTubers are all great people to celebrate with. They really are. Always make sure to provide at least 330 burgers for all the guests. Even if there are only 200 people showing up, it's better to be prepared. Wouldn't want anyone feeling disgust at your festivities, would we? Drinks are also important. Something refreshing like smoothies or Kool-Aid will do. That actually fits, yes. While food is important, decorations are pretty bouncy as well. Spruce up the place with some blue banners or streamers. Maybe put some porcelain umbrellas in everyone's camel. Oh, wow. Some of the best Hanukkah parties, for example, have lots of stinky balloons that are fun to prance. In summer, you may even see fireworks fly slightly through the sky. Only slightly. Gotta keep them ground level. Oh my god, that actually reminds me of something. I'll save that thought for later, though. Of course, all of this depends on location. Some people go to a Applebee's for their celebrations, while others prefer to have it at their own penthouse. I wish. Others even go out to googly parks or campgrounds and go grill some carrots. Just carrots. Outside festivities are confusedly good for things like gardening or cricket. Just make sure to bring some spare Gucci for these things. Wouldn't want your Gucci cleats to be getting all dirtied up in cricket. After all is said and done, it's time for the guests to leave. Party favors are a sucky way to send off your guests, and they can cost as little as $1 Canadian per person if you get the right things. Personally, I prefer to give each guest a small bag filled with pizza, popsicles, and a Funko Pop. Do that, and you'll be sure to send off your guests with a winky face. Ding! 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 There we go. Feels like it was written by someone who's rich pretending to be poor. Milk only costs like, what, $20? Oh, right, the fireworks. The fireworks. Okay. So there was a summer where we celebrated 4th of July at my grandparents' house. My grandparents live out in the country, and so we're pretty much able to set off fireworks willy-nilly. My mom went to a fireworks store that popped up, and we each got to buy one of our own things. I bought a little, like, container thing that was called Nerves of Steel. It's this one, it's like a little box, and it's got a fuse sticking out of the top, and you light the fuse, and then you just kind of, like, let it do its own thing. It's like a fountain in a way. But this one had mortar shells in it. So, we set it on the ground. And because this is out in the country, and my grandparents live on a bit of, like, farmland, the road that we set these fireworks on was gravel. It was just dirt. It was a dirt road right outside of my grandparents' house. The first mortar shell goes off after we light this Nerves of Steel box, and the whole thing tips over. And for the next 30 seconds, it is just spewing out mortar shells left and right, and every blast turns it around and starts like whipping it around, and it turns into basically a roulette wheel of explosions just going off left and right all across the farm, and it's like, oh god. Yeah, it was awful. One of them even struck the front door of my grandparents' house. We nearly set my grandparents' place on fire. It was so bad. Luckily, nothing was damaged. There were some, like, scorch marks, but nothing, like, there was no fire, there were no flames. We carry on! So, we were lucky in that regard. But, yeah, it was nerve-wracking to be sure. That's why it was called Nerves of Steel, probably. You had to have Nerves of Steel to even, like, use it in the first place. Yeah, I remember there was one that I had to, like, literally jump over. It, like, went right under my feet. Anyway, let us move on to the next story. This one's a little bit shorter. We need 2 different verbs, 2 different adjectives, and a number. Depression, well, you know what? Depressed is the adjective form of that, so sure. Leaping, okay. Toxic, sure. Courtly, okay. Yeah, we'll put down courtly. Ooh, courtly is a good one. We need another verb, we need another adjective, and we need an amount of time. 0 seconds, okay. We need 2 plural nouns, and then we need a famous VTuber, not me. Unfortunately, I know. Nouns is technically a plural. Oh, fine, whatever. You know what? Sure, you win. Really cool username. We'll put down noun as the noun. I hate your loopholes. And also Tony the Tiger. Tony the Tiger was the VTuber. Yes, okay, I understand. I understand that. Oh my god. Did anyone actually see freaking Tony the Tiger as a VTuber? Because that chat was absolutely thirsty. Tony the Tiger's a VTuber now? Yeah, Tony the Tiger. Well, I don't know if anymore, based off of how their debut stream went, but god, it was interesting. He did, I forget what he did on stream. He played a game with a few other, like, Twitch streamers. Tigers, sure. We'll put down tigers. Tiger. Laugh, sob, I like devastate. You know what? Devastate? Sure. We need one more thing, just a number. Just any number under the sun. Give me a number. 1 through, like 0 through infinity, what's the number? 0.2, there we go. Yes. This next story is, you know, since this is my 1st year anniversary on Twitch, you gotta wonder, like, what's next in the story of Archie Okilade, Hummingbird Extraordinaire? Well, I'll tell you, in the form of a Mad Lib. Archie's thoughts on the year. Wow. I can't believe it's already been a whole year of me leaping on stream. Wow, I feel like I would have broken an ankle or 2 by now, but... And we've even hit 4 followers too! Yes, 4 followers! I really couldn't ask for more. Everyone who comes to watch my stream is so depressed and toxic, and it really makes me look forward to crying with you all every weekend. Mood. Of course, I can't forget my VTuber friends as well. Kyoko and Navre Noir have been so courtly to me since I've come to know them. Actually, Navre has been very courtly with me. Very, very courtly. Oh my god. By the way, did I mention I'm going to be in his Smasher Pass next Saturday? Spoiler alert, I'm probably going to get smashed. We all know it's a smash. Probably. But, you know, I gotta see how he hypes it up, you know? Anyway. So, Kyoko and Navre Noir have been so courtly to me since I've come to know them. They really have. And getting to vibe my fellow bird VTubers is always a good time. What sort of vibing? I'm not gonna say. I even have a new third cousin twice removed in the form of Turquoise Tori! Oh my god. You are no longer my dad, Tori. I'm sorry, you are now my third cousin twice removed. Meeting them has filled my pancreas with hummingbird. So, what is in store for the next 0 seconds? Ideally, I want to talk more nouns, write some dick-shaped poetry, and meet more people who enjoy plantains as much as I do. Speaking of, I'd love to have more parties where we can share meatloaf with each other and talk about tigers. I'd also love to collaborate with people like Fillion or Kim Kardashian. I am one of their most masterful fans after all. Hopefully before long, we can reach 0.2 or even 78 followers. Until then, thank you all for laughing with me for so long. I really devastate all of you. Don't I though? I mean, to be fair, all of you are depressed and toxic, so you devastate me in return. It's really a give and take relationship here. Let me swap over to the next segment real quick. If you are not following me on YouTube, I have a YouTube channel. I also put up a video detailing my first year in some clip form. So we are going to watch that right now. I know your secret now. The tactic that lets you win. I found your weakness and I'm Rob! Former world champion! Raised from the dead! Okay, real quick. Okay. This is probably like one of the first clips I made on my own channel. Like, you can definitely tell I don't have the same overlay as that. That is my first overlay that I did. Yeah, Everhood was kind of one of the first games that I played too. I'm pretty sure Everhood was where I like first got some of my regulars actually. Like that's where long username came from what I remember. And I actually have a funny story about long username, and I might as well share it now. So I was playing Everhood, right? And I was at a section where there's this really difficult boss. We're going to see it come up in a little bit. But I was struggling, to say the least. And really, a really long username shows up and is giving me like very supportive messages, right? And it's like, this is the third time in a row that I've seen really long username in chat. And this was at a point in time where I did not have a lot of followers and I didn't have any regulars. Like a long username was my first regular. And the fact that they showed up to like 3 of my streams in a row, I was like, do I have a stalker? That was my first thought. My first thought wasn't, oh wow, I'm gaining attention and popularity. It was like, oh god, are they stalking me? Is this what it feels like? Oh my god. Oh, speaking of though, I have this friend who we met in college, and there was a point, like maybe a few months after we had like properly met and talked with each other, she came up and asked me just like straight up, hey, can I be your stalker? And like, obviously I said yes. Yes, she can be my stalker. Because like, okay, stalking may not be everyone's cup of tea, but at the same time, like if they're polite enough to come up to you and actually ask like up to your face, like, hey, can I stalk you? Like, you know what? Sure, you go for it. If I hear any suspicious noises outside of my window, despite the fact I live on the 3rd floor, you know, go for it. Stalk with consent. Exactly. And you know what's funny? I am still very good friends with this person. She is actually my best friend, dare I say. I find it very, very funny. That's how it started, though. There were a couple things that I want to share. Kind of like a look back at my beginnings, my humble beginnings as a VTuber. This was me. This was me originally. This was what I looked like right here. I drew this in MS Paint, and this is like what I was before. I didn't know how to draw anime style hair, so I just kind of went ham with it. But yeah, as you can see, it sort of like matches up pretty well. Pretty one for one. I think my mama did a very good job. There is one thing about this design that I kind of wish carried through. So, for those of you who don't know, hummingbird feathers are actually like pretty round, and I tried to like capture that with the feather here, as you can sort of see. It's got like a little notch out of it because I just like that aesthetic. For some reason I like feathers that have just a little like notch, a little cut out of it. I don't like full feathers unless you can like part it a little bit. Oh, and did you know that bird feathers actually have like, basically they stick together so well because they basically have their own like built-in Velcro? Feathers are their own built-in Velcro. That's how they like catch the wind so easily and how they can like drift around and stuff. But yeah, I would have wished for a better, or not like a better, but like a rounder feather to more so capture that this is supposed to be, you know, a feather. Because it kind of looks like a leaf, not gonna lie. But, you know, is what it is. I still think that Mahoyama did a good job, so yeah, that's that. Alright, and now, the next thing that I want to do, one of the last things, is I want to look back on, like, my own. I want to see what my top 5 favorite moments were from my VTubing experience so far. I have a lot of thoughts over some of the things that happened this year, so if it ever seems like I'm reading off of a Word document, it's because I am. I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't really have the same gift of gab that some other people do with their streams, you know? So, that's just, it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, I try my best. So sometimes I have to gather my thoughts and put them down on like actual words so I know what to say and when to say it and how to say it. So it's not that it's like disingenuous, like that's not the vibe I want to go for. Like I really do mean the stuff I say. It's just sometimes I need to make sure I'm saying it correctly. The top 5 things from VTubing. So surprisingly, the first thing that I like that sticks out to me as far as like VTubing goes, the things I've done so far, the drinking challenges. For some reason, the drinking challenges actually were kind of fun. I'm not a big drinker. I feel like I can say that pretty confidently. Like I drink socially, and even then it's pretty limited. But I guess in a way, streaming and drinking is technically kind of a social activity. But yeah, so they were surprisingly fun. Let's see, I think I've only done a couple that come to mind. There was the one with Prey, where like every time I got jump scared, I had to take a drink. Anytime I was a little whiny baby about the horror game. I think it helped mitigate the effect, you know? Made it a bit more interesting. And then there was also Drunk King, the Jump King drinking game, where anytime I fell more than 2 screens in succession, or 2 or more screens in succession, I had to take a sip. And that was pretty interesting as well. And it ended up to where, like, I could not do good at the game until I, like, had at least a little bit of alcohol. So, like, it kind of worked against me in the end. Number 4 is the Persona 5 Royal snack party. And, like, for those of you who don't know, it was a really iconic moment. Like, I still remember it so vividly. It was me, it was Ark, and it was Long Username. It was all three of us. Yusuke had just joined the party, and they were having hot pot together. They were having hot pot, and I was like, you know what? They're not the only ones who should be having food right now. I should be having food too, so went to go get a snack. But the other 2 people in chat were like, you know what? We'll get snacks too. And so all 3 of us, despite living in completely different areas, we all just got snacks together, told each other what we were having on stream, and just like hung out for a little bit. I think you made popcorn. I think you did make popcorn. I think I had some chips or something. And yeah, we just like hung out in the game for a little bit. We had the Persona 5 music in the background. It was very chill. But like, I mean, I started VTubing with the hopes of bringing people together, you know? Like, making sure that anyone had a space where they could learn from each other, support one another, and just like understand each other, get to know one another. Like, that's what it means to be a community to me. And that's like what I saw in VTubing. It's what inspired me to start VTubing in the first place. So having that happen, even though it was just 3 of us, it felt like it was a really big step in that goal. I gained a brother and a flirty buddy from here. Yeah, really? Like, honestly. And you know, as long as it's like consensual. Like, it was so nice. Number 3 on my list is the Vtubers parody. Again, this is a video that I put on my YouTube channel if you want to check it out there. But for some reason, I was visiting my sister, right? I was visiting my sister, and I suddenly, like, I was just going to sleep. I was right after checking Twitter, and for some reason, I got the weird notion of like, I should make a Pokemon rap out of all the bird-themed VTubers that there are. And I posted that idea on Twitter, and the next morning, I had like more messages than I had ever gotten before, more interactivity about that post. I was like, oh, people actually like this idea, huh? And then I just went for it. I was like, you know what? Might as well burn the candle while I can. Keep this flame going, and I set out to make it. It was a very arduous process. I had to get so many PNGs. I had to look up, and like anytime I felt like, oh, I'm done, I found all the bird VTubers, there ended up being more. And even after I made it, there were some that had like existed that I just didn't know about, and like they just got skipped on because I didn't know they existed, and I felt really bad. But is what it is, I guess. But yeah, I continued making it. It was a lot of editing. It was very painful. Not really painful, but still, it was a lot of work. And yeah, it ended up being really good. It got a lot of traction, and people seemed to like it. It felt like I was like contributing to the VTuber community in a meaningful way. So I was very thankful for that. And you know what's the funniest part? Is sometimes when I see a bird VTuber, whether in chat or I'm watching them, I will still remember exactly where in the song they were. And I'll start singing it from that point. I don't know, just writing parodies is very fun for me. It's a cool way to like, I'm not good at music. I don't know the first thing about music theory or anything like that. But I feel like writing parodies is a good way to like bridge that gap. Kind of meet music halfway. I don't have to like learn all the instrumentals and stuff. All that's taken care of for me. I just have to write the lyrics. And it works out for me. I can show off my humor and writing skills, finesse, and stuff like that, while not knowing how to play instruments. Number two is what we'll go with next, is meeting VTuber friends. Starting out, I did not know if there were going to be any people that I could like actually make friends with. And I kind of just had this idea of, oh, I want to be friends with everyone, all the VTubers. But I think now I'm sort of realizing that that's kind of a bust. Like, I mean, sure, it's a nice sentiment. Don't get me wrong, it's not like I want to start beef with anyone. It's more like everyone's got their own priorities. And, you know, sometimes people want to do this more as like a job or a hobby than like for meeting people. And, you know, I just have to kind of like respect that in a way. And not everyone is gonna like or enjoy the same sort of content that you do. So even though they might seem like nice people, maybe you just don't like get along in that regard. There's a lot of stuff to consider, you know? I had the idea to reach out to bigger VTubers that I like looked up to as content creators. And I think after a while of like especially not hearing back from them and stuff, I started to wonder like, what is it that I'm actually trying to get out of this, you know? Am I really just clout chasing? I don't think I am, but what if that is the case? And like, there are some VTubers that like, yeah, I like their clips and stuff, but I don't really like know them as people. Should I really be reaching out to them? Stuff like that, you know? There are still some very big name VTubers I would like to be like genuine friends with, people I think I'd get along with very well. Nanners is the first one that comes to mind. Like, for some reason, she's just that oddball weirdity that I just get attracted to, I guess. So yeah, I feel like I could be friends with her. But I think for now, I just want to stick with my circle and kind of expand it as I go along. And the fact that I even have a circle to begin with is amazing. Like, there's, of course, Kyoko and Navre, as I've mentioned before. They're very sweet and loving people. I don't even know what I did. I don't even know what I did to deserve their friendship. It's like, I showed up to Navre's debut, and like, ever since, it's just been nuts. And this is what it's come into now. And, of course, there's Tori, my dad. How could I forget? And just, like, there's Kira Hishitori, who is also another bird, if you couldn't tell. She's very, like, soft-spoken and sweet, but she's not afraid to say what's on her mind. There's Mao Ayuko, she's a wolf, and she has, like, a really nice voice. She's funny, she's very welcoming. There's Honeybird, there's Castrelia, Shima, Parakeet, Cory, so many bird VTubers. There are people who interact with me on Twitter most of the time, like King Kaiser, Wanderer, Len. There are people that I don't really know that well, but I want to get to know better, like my fellow hummingbirds, Enos Nectar, Sugar Chapeau, Aiden, Ichika Maya. And like, I'm sure there are plenty of names that I'm blanking on right now, but it's not that you're not friends with me. It's not that I don't consider you a friend. It's that I'm just really bad at thinking of things on the spot. And I had only a short time to prepare this list, so I don't know. It's so cool that I've gotten to meet all these people through VTubing, you know? And like, the fact that I enjoy them and they enjoy me back, it's like, wow, I didn't realize that could be possible. Usually you don't meet a lot of people when you get older. I'm very appreciative for the fact that I've even made VTuber friends in the first place. My number one top VTuber moment, the thing I am most proud of, happiest of having happened, my favorite thing is that I started VTubing in the first place. Like, even before I started, I loved VTubing. I saw it as a way of bringing people together, of seeing them connect and support one another, talents and fans. It's a way for people to come out of their shell, to let go of inhibitions, appreciate one another just for the simple fact that they are a part of your lives. And it shows that having a positive impact on other people, it doesn't take much. Just being able to make someone smile, that's enough. to prove that you are a positive force in the world. Even though I started with the idea to make this into a job at some point, I was worried that I wouldn't live up to the same standards set by more successful VTubers. Like, not in terms of numbers, but like in terms of personality. I was worried I wouldn't be as funny or talented or energetic or even just garner any sort of following. I've always been the quiet one, the guy who does his work at school and not much else. Doesn't really hang out with people after class and things like that. And even when I did make friends, there were times where I felt like I didn't offer very much to the relationship. But the fact that people care to watch me at all, to check in, see how I'm doing on my streams, like even chatting for just a minute or two, it means that there are people who are thinking of me and taking time out of their day to come see me, and it means so much. And it's not only me. I've seen people become a part of this small community and make friends with one another. Usernames and jimmies. And to think that they might have never interacted with each other or known about each other's existence without me streaming, like, it gives me such a sense of accomplishment. Like, I helped enrich someone else's life. It's really helped me come out of my shell online a bit more. And even though I have a long way to get to where I want to be, I'm making headway, and I have support. So, no matter what I celebrate, whether it's a milestone, an anniversary, a birthday, whatever, I really can't properly celebrate it without celebrating everyone else as well. Because you're all just as much a reason for me being here. So, what does that mean for the future? What's going to happen in year 2? I'm going to keep playing games, and I want to get better at posting stuff to YouTube, whether it's short videos or silly music or other projects. And I also want to do more collabs. But mostly, I just want to keep appreciating all of you. The same way that you're all appreciating me, I guess, by being here. So, thank you.